but I'll try. But it appears as though God is coming in the form of water. This consciousness is so high, it's truly extraordinary. And the more we learn about it, the more ridiculous it is. And so they went into the Bay of Izmir in Istanbul, which is the most polluted body of water in the world. The bay looks like oil. It's black. It's got bubbles on top. It looks like oil. It does not look like water at all. It's so polluted. And they took this and put it in these two big tanks. One was the control, and one was the other one. And they just poured in a couple gallons of this water, and they mixed it up. And they watched as this water went from black to clean, to cleaner, to clean, until it was crystal clear. Meanwhile, in those two beakers that were sitting on there, I watched, and so did this whole room full of people, as the water went slowly down, 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 and what was above looked like distilled water, until it was all the way down at the bottom, and it was crystal clear. There was no pollution in the water at all. And then they took a fish out of the aquarium that was downstairs and put it in there when it was one of the beakers. And this fish swam around actually for about 3 hours while we did all these other things like that. And Ian said, if there's anything in there, it's going to kill the fish. And the fish was fine. What was interesting is that after this was all over, they took the little fish out and they put it back into the aquarium. The next morning when they came in, the aquarium was crystal clear. Just from the little bit of water that was on the body or on the mouth of the fish. The United Nations has now entered into this one. So has Russia and 8 other major countries. They're about to do a $1.4 billion showcase in Turkey and to show things. They can actually go into a desert where there is no water and no life and no nothing and spray this water on the soil, a special version of it, and the whole thing root changes, the climate changes, and it turns the desert into a lush area. This water is so conscious that it makes the weather change and brings water to a desert. They're going to demonstrate this and prove it to the world, the United Nations, and the World Bank is involved in this, backing this up. And so what's happening here, folks? What about, and I didn't talk about this before, but I'm going to now, because at this point I'm just sort of pulling all the stops. What happens if you drink it? Well, I don't know, but according to the people who are in Turkey, and this is hearsay, that when the water goes in, it just removes all diseases from the body, period, in the end, and brings that person back. It's like baptism with water. It just brings it all back. And it's an interesting analogy, too, because in baptism you can only do it once, right? With this water you can only do it once. You can only drink so much of the water, and then you can't drink any more of it for the rest of your life. Nobody knows why. Only that's the way it is. And so, according to them, their statements is that they have cured every disease known to man and over 10,000 people in Turkey just drinking this water. What's that going to mean to the world? What's it going to mean to the world when this water can go into any body of water and clean it? The water goes right through a body of water like a bay, even if it's hundreds and hundreds of feet deep, cleans it totally clear, goes into the sediment, 90 feet into the sediment, and on either side, and removes all toxins and brings it back to the way it was 10,000 years ago. And this is real. This is not a fantasy. This is not Steven Spielberg. This is the real thing, and it's actually happening on our planet today, right now. And you can spray it on a garbage dump. It'll instantaneously put out all the fires, the methane fires, and over a period of just a few days, it only takes 4 days, it sterilizes it, including including AIDS and cancer and everything else. It totally sterilizes it and converts all the chemicals into organic fertilizer. It's conscious, folks. It knows what to do. And they've done this, and they've watched how out of this garbage, everything is transformed into organic fertilizer, and all these plants, apple trees, tomato plants, and all these things are coming out of this from nowhere. Who knows where it's coming from? Whatever reaction it goes into, it always knows what is best for life. And it always does exactly the right thing. When we were doing research before, and I need to bring this up because some of you know the work we were doing for several years. We came into this place here, Denver, in 1984, and Denver was incredibly polluted at that time. And we began to run, with Bob Dratch and Slim Sperling, began to run a waveform pattern of a substance, which I'll explain in a moment, through something called a tensor, which is really just an antenna that affects the gravity waves in space, and was able to, through a new science, which many people call voodoo science, because they don't believe it, though it works, they were able to change the atmosphere over Denver, and for 1 year of 1995, Denver became the cleanest in all recorded history. And then when they stopped it, and then during that year, by the way, you were receiving 30,000 people a month into this city. And the governor, the city, the mayor, because, or whoever it was, the EPA here, because it was so clean, dropped all the rules and told all the people, just pollute all you want. So they went crazy. They were just going for it because it was so clean. And then when they dropped the rules in the middle of 1996, by the end of 1996, it was so polluted again that they had to reinstate all those rules. The EPA would not admit that we had anything to do with this, and that's another whole subject, which I really is not important to get into right now. Well, what was this substance that they were broadcasting out in the water? What it was a rain cloud. Right as it was ready to dump water, and right as it was shooting electricity, lightning out of it. Nobody really knows this subject, but is a rain cloud really superionized water? Is it conscious? Is it aware? Trees are aware. Lots of things are aware. NASA has discovered that everything is conscious, by the way. They discovered not only is everything a hologram, but everything is alive. They know this for sure. Everything, even a beer can. It's alive, it's conscious, and it's evolving. Everything is evolving. Everything is going, including human life, is moving through very specific steps that shows that, without exception, every molecule in existence is a living molecule and it's alive. And this is science that's come up to this conclusion. And a rain cloud, when it's filled with this electrical charge, it brings life. It's the bringer of life to land. Without those rain clouds, there'd be no life on this land. It'd be dry, barren. It brings the life to the land. And so it just so happened that we were using the same vibration, we think it is anyway, as the superionized water that Turkey has come up to. They've just learned how to stabilize that energy into a bottle like this right here. And so this little substance, this little vibration that's in this bottle, you don't actually have to drink it to make it work. This is the other thing that we're discovering. You can, in the same way that psychic energy works, which we're going to be discussing here in a little bit, all knowledge is known to everybody in this room. You know everything in existence. There isn't anything that you don't know. You know everything that's going on every planet and every little bug on the ground. You know what they're all thinking. It's all in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is connected, first of all, to the earth and the biosphere. Your subconscious mind is not only yours, but it belongs to all people on existence, including all other life, animals, and everything else, the biosphere. And the superconscious mind is everything else. And you can, or that's the lower self and the higher self, if you want to talk about it like that. And you have access to all knowledge.